Welcome back to Switzer. Cryptocurrency Bitcoin has been on a rally, surpassing $1,200 and the price of gold. But after a Chinese PBOC meeting last Thursday, its price has literally halved. But my next guest told me it's come back. So what's going on and what in the hell is Bitcoin anyway? To explain all, we have Australia's president of the Bitcoin Association.
Yes.
Jason Williams. Thanks for joining us on the program, Jason.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, for people who have heard about Bitcoin, I'm sure you're being asked to do this all the time. In a nutshell, what in the hell is it?
It's kind of like cash, except it's better. You can you can use it on the internet. You can go down to the old Fitzroy and you can buy a beer with it. You can transfer it between yourselves. It's just electronic money. It's money 2.0.
History
Of
Bitcoin.
Started in about 2009 by a guy or group of people calling themselves Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yes.
He put together a paper and some programs.
Was he Japanese, or he assumed the Japanese identity?
Assumed the Japanese.
Okay, right, fine.
Put together a paper and put together some code and put it out there on a couple of newsletters, news lists.
Yeah.
People picked it up and ran with it, and here we are.
All right, but people don't generally create currencies that way.
No, they don't. No.
So, and being an economist, I know what is a currency is defined of. It's a medium of exchange that people accept.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are accepting it as a medium of exchange.
Yep.
But not everyone.
Not everyone, not yet.
No, but most currencies of the world will be accepted at an exchange rate.
Yeah.
You know, if you hate currency, it's a lousy exchange rate. If they love the currency, it's a really good one. But your exchange rate is really high. Well, it was 1,200 down to 600. It's bounced back up to.
It's bounced back up. It's when the Chinese report came out. Basically, the currency just dipped. It dipped from about 1,300 Aussie dollars to about $600.
And they basically said people in China can't use Bitcoin as well. What they say?
The financial institutions in China are not allowed to use it, according to the regulation. Yeah.
So China's happy for it to be, in a way. It's no different than a stamp that has value, is it, when you think about it? And they have value and people will pay for it. And it seems to me the more and more I read about Bitcoin, the more likely it is that people will hoard it and not spend it in the Fitzroy Hotel. And if I'm the public in the Fitzroy Hotel, you hope some nutcase buys a beer for a Bitcoin and then you hang on to it. Is that often happening?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of customers at the old Fitzroy. What happens is they go in, they scan a code on a tablet, and that's converted to, they type in the amount on Aussie dollars, so $6.80 for a beer, for example. Yeah. That's converted to a Bitcoin at the current exchange rate. Yeah. They scan the code with their phone. Yeah. The coins come to a startup that actually I've created, and we send the cash back to the Fitzroy the next day.
Okay. So, but if the Bitcoin publican wants to hoard those Bitcoins, he can do that too?
He can absolutely do that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's very interesting. Have you had any inquiries from the Reserve Bank of Australia?
Not as yet, no.
Are you surprised?
Yes, I am kind of surprised. I thought they might approach the association. I thought perhaps the ATO might come and say hi, as well as Austrac. And ASIC, ASIC, I would expect that would come along. But Austrac, according to the legislation in 2006, Bitcoin is not really covered.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, so the pros are obvious. I guess the next question, how can people accumulate? Fitzroy selling a beer to get it, but how can, if someone says, I'd like to get involved in this, I'd like to get myself some Bitcoin, is it easy to say, well, I've got $1 million, I'll buy Bitcoin at 1,200, or is it hard to get $1 million worth of Bitcoin?
It's harder to get because I guess there's not that much liquidity, not as much liquidity. There is a great site that I use, and a lot of people use it in Australia, called CoinJar. You go in there and you have to do the old 100 points of a KYC check, and you can actually just buy Bitcoins like you would buy Forex at a bank.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you think one of the big problems is that I know people will be listening to this and saying, I still don't understand it. It's a massive comprehension gap to get over. Yeah. So, and there's also a limited amount. Like other currencies can be increased, like the Fed.
You can just print money.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you can't really.
Why is it limited to what was produced?
So I'm not 100% sure of the economics behind it, but as far as I'm aware, the idea is that you don't want to keep printing money. Like, I guess Satoshi didn't really like the idea of quantitative easing and wanted people to actually control their own money. And I think that's the whole idea behind it.
Do we know who he is now? Has he come in, hey, I'm the guy?
No one knows who he is now.
Okay.
Or they are.
Now, is it true the twins or the brothers who had trouble with Facebook, they got involved in Bitcoin early along?
They, towards the beginning...
What are their names? It's really hard to know.
The Winklevoss twins.
Winklevoss twins. And they rode for America, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Quite interesting
Olympic
guys.
rowers.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And they argue that Facebook, the founder of Facebook, actually used a lot of their intellectual property.
Yeah, that's right. That's the allegation, and there was an undisclosed settlement for that as well.
Oh, okay, there was a settlement. Yeah. Okay, so they're interesting guys. Where do you think this is going to end up? Because this is dreamland for everybody who's involved. And obviously, did you get Bitcoins at much lower prices, so you're actually wealthier than you were, say, a year ago?
I may be wealthier than what I was a year ago.
Why? Why do you say maybe?
Well, I mean, I did get some coins when they're about $9 or so.
Okay.
I've spent some as well.
Yeah.
I'm all about turning the economy into a transactional economy. So we want to smooth the bumps out of the road, and I think...
You'd like to get it accepted.
I want to get accepted. My clear vision and what we want to do with the Bitcoin Foundation and the Bitcoin Association of Australia is to bring it mainstream, get mums and dads using it, and get shops accepting it. Yep.
But isn't the part of the problem that if it's not going to be more printed, there is going to be a limited amount, and the more you create demand, you have the unhappy situation that the coins you hold will become more valuable.
It's terrible, isn't it? It's terrible. But you can actually divide the currency down into 8 decimal places.
Okay.
At the moment, we're using about 3 decimal places when we're up around the $1,000 mark.
Yeah.
We can divide that. That's just a number.
Okay.
It's a number with an associated value.
But there is a limit of 8 times.
Well, there's a limit of 8 decimal places to go down, and that's actually quite a lot.
But Jason, even when you say that, that confuses normal people. 1 minute I'm told it's limited. Oh, no, it can be divided by 8.
Well, yeah, it is actually limited, but it has, by very nature at the moment, 8 decimal places associated with it.
I've got 30 seconds left. What in the hell is this you've given me? Is this graft and corruption?
No, that is not graft and corruption. That's what we called cold storage. So if you want to secure place to store your Bitcoins, you can transfer them to that card there and stick them in your safe, and away you go.
And it can be used at, say, the Fitzroy Hotel?
You don't use this as a transaction card. It's not like an EFTPOS card or a Visa card or MasterCard. It's more like a bank vault, except on a piece of paper.
And if I put in something, will it tell me what value's on that card?
Pretty much. You scratch off that logo, type it into a website, and away you go.
I think it's going to take a lot more visits before the world, according to Switzer, will fully understand what you're talking about. But, mate, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the show for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow night, and with a lot more very good guests like tonight's show. See you then.